and toast to Caponis. Uh, Good afternoon, everybody, and hello and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism by having a podcast with passionate guests woven with creative ilk. Hello, I'm the artist rendition of Trey. Hi, and I'm joined by my co-host tonight, Emily. Hi, Emily. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure Josh would say that you are definitely a work of art. Well, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's fine.
Yep, I know exactly why. There, I fixed it.
Okay. So we're going to start back in the beginning.
So sorry.
All right.
So sorry,
Hello.
everyone.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism by having a podcast with passionate guests woven with creative ilk. Hello, I'm the artist rendition, formerly known as Trey. Hi, I'm Trey,
Hi, Trey.
and I'm joined by my podcast guest. Oh my gosh, take two, and I'm joined by my co-host Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hello. Today I am a work of art. I might not be good, I might not be bad, and I am subject to interpretation.
Aw. Well, Josh will certainly call you a work of art.
Aw.
Uh, and you know who I'm really excited to talk with today, and find out how they're making the world more artistic.
I can guess.
Well, then, would you like to do an introduction
Guess.
tonight?
Sure. Today we're talking with Gwen Krantz. She is the creator and owner of the 510 Art Lab in Sauk Center, Minnesota. And the 510 Art Lab is like a gym membership, but for art. So you can go there and you can create. You can just feel free to try new things and do new art. And it's all because of this is Gwen's brainchild. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present Gwen Krantz. Yay!
Hi.
Thank
Hello.
you for being here.
Sure. No problem. It was easy, wasn't it?
Oh, this was the simplest setup we've ever had.
Yeah.
Right now, Gwen is sitting in my dining room, and I am downstairs.
It works. Technology is a wonderful thing.
We finally
And I'm
figured
sitting-
out how.
And I'm sitting 1,500 miles away.
Yeah.
We can almost see you from here.
I'm like Russia. You can see me from your house. Anyway.
Jeez.
Gwen, it is such a pleasure to have you on.
Sure,
Honestly, when Emily started telling me about the art lab, I was like, where can I find this? And how do I join? And has told me so many incredibly wonderful things about it. So it's such a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. Nervous, but glad to be here.
Well, don't be nervous. We're
Okay.
we're nervous too, actually. You can tell by our nervous laughter.
Gwen, one of the things that I really want to ask is more about you and how you came to be in a life full of art. How did you find your love of art? What inspired you to continue that passion? And really just kind of how we arrived at the 510 Lab.
Okay, well, the 510 Art Lab was actually a brainchild of a bunch of friends at INSOC Center here. And we were going to check out some other maker spaces and kind of see how they worked. And we pulled back into town after a day of exploring, and somebody said, "Hey, this old bar is empty and for sale. Let's take a look." I said, "Oh, I have a realtor friend." And by 5 o'clock, we were inside. And by the next day, we were, purchasing this building, and it just kind of went from there. So it's a nonprofit, and I am heading that up, but it's taken a lot of work from a lot of different people and a lot of ideas coming together. And actually, that's what I love about it. I said I don't want to ever be on really a board, those board kind of things where, where one person talks a lot and everyone is just like, yeah, yeah, I want it to be collaborative. I want to have everybody's input. I want it just to be a mishmash of everything. So that's kind of who we are and how we started out. And every day it evolves, every single day. So myself, talking about, I just said, I don't like to talk about myself that much. I can talk about the art lab all day. But as far as it goes for me, I love to learn about the art. I love to dabble in the arts. I'm not a professional artist in any way. Every once in a while, I might sell something for the heck of it, but I don't dive really deep into one thing. And that's what I loved also about the 510 Art Lab is we have a pottery studio, we have a weaving area, we have stained glass, fused glass, sewing, fabrics, textiles, wood burning mosaics, like you name it. If we don't have it, we'll get it. And it's just fun to go in there and to learn about different things and to try your hand at something new. So that's me in a nutshell.
And I love that. One of the things that has been kind of a staple of this podcast, and really it speaks to Emily and I's friendship, is how much we encourage each other to do new and different things. And I've said this multiple times before, but Emily is really the one who inspired me to continue getting better with sewing and finding that I actually enjoy it. And now I'm starting to draft my own patterns. I'm really getting invested in learning about different types of fabric, so much so that it's impressed my boyfriend enough that he's trying to convince me to give like beginner sewing lessons over Zoom. So
that's great. That's great.
It's like, you know so much. And I'm like, really, I really don't, but thank you.
I didn't know that.
That's what's so fun. Yeah, you just start diving into things, and all of a sudden, I mean, sometimes you even kind of feel like an expert. It's like, wow, I learned a lot of stuff,
And I mean, so just with that, how could we not celebrate the 510 Art Lab?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing about it. And I also love, kind of similar to your story, but one of our very first members was a wood chipper. I said, I called him a whittler one time, and he's like, well, I am not a whittler. It's wood chipping. It is not whittling. But anyway, he joined, he came in, he had all the tools. He carved wonderful, intricate wood pieces, and he's now sold most of that stuff, just kind of got away from it, but now has his own stained glass company. Wow. That he does, and mostly goes around to shows, has taken a few commissions, and just from the art lab, just having that glass in front of them and all the bright shiny colors, and seeing other people do it and giving it a try. So yeah, that's fun.
Oh my gosh. What is one art type of art that you're still dying to try that you just haven't yet?
Well, I just started macrameing. Back to the 70s. I always say the 70s are calling. They want your macrame back. But there's a bunch of like kind of the new spin on it that I really want to try. It's called macro weave, and it's taking some weaving and macrame knots and putting them together in some mostly wall hangings that I've seen right now. And that's the next thing that I really want to dive into.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the art lab recently, and I saw there's a lot of cool macrame right now. And there's these, I don't know if it's technically macrame, but they're these leaves that has like fringe. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, those are mine. Those are
Those are
mine.
yours? Oh,
Yeah,
they're
that
so
I've been
cool.
hanging up. Yeah, yeah, you make knots on the inside and fringe them, and you can do anything with them. You can make them big or small. I have one that took me almost all day to comb out the macrame rope on them, made it into like a big centerpiece for my table and put things on it. And you can use them for wall hangings, make them really little for like keychain kind of things. Or a friend of mine were putting little wooden buttons on them, and she does a lot of oil and healing and massage, and I use it as an oil diffuser. Tons of stuff. Yeah, the
Wow.
leaves are awesome.
I'll have to look at that closer next time I'm there. I had no idea that was
Yeah.
yours. They're really cool.
Yep. Yeah, I got into the leaf thing, and man, I've just been cranking out these leaves.
They don't look like 70s macrame either. They look like
No.
something now.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things, not just like plant hangers. There's a lot of neat things out there now.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my mom had a macrame, like, I guess it was a curtain she was making. Or I remember her saying something about wanting to put it in a doorway. And it had all of this intricate knot work and pattern things. And she was trying to make it
Oh, yeah.
symmetrical so it would, like, I don't know. But she never finished it. And it hung in the storage room we had behind the garage for years and years and years. And I would go in there and the yarn she used was, like, super plasticky.
Oh,
And I remember
yeah.
thinking, like, this doesn't seem nice.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that would
Mom.
hurt your hands after a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like, why are we putting this in our house? But
You just add some beads on it and hang
Right.
it, and all is well. Yeah.
but actually, like, in the end, if she had finished it, it probably would have been pretty cool. And at the
Yeah.
time, I just thought, oh, Mom, Now it would probably be worth a fortune because it would have actually been from, back then. We won't talk about what year that was, but but yeah, she probably still has it. I should ask her.
Yeah, you should ask her. Finish it. Let's finish it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Trey. Trey, if I get a hold of it, I'll give it to you for Christmas.
Yeah.
You. Oh, yes. So Gwen, for you, what were some of like the first creations at the art lab, and do you still have any of those creations?
Let's see. My first creations at the art lab. Well, yeah, I do have one. It was a pottery piece, and it was a blue plate. And I had this grand idea that we were all going to make blue plates and then have like a blue plate special, and that would be a fundraiser. And
Yeah.
everyone would get a different blue plate. But I don't know, after about 3 of those, we just kind of nixed the idea. But it's still in the back of my brain, and I might use it someday. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yes, I still have it, and now I just use it to put paint on as like a paint palette, and so I don't always throw away a paper plate. So
Right.
I still use it. And when we start, we always encourage people to keep it. Just keep 1 or 2 things. Like, don't keep everything that you make, because you're not going to like everything you make. And not everything you make has to be great and grand and sell it to your grandma, because your grandma will buy everything. So,
That's true.
yeah, but we do encourage people to keep 1 or 2 things that you first made, so you can always go back and see your improvement.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that way your
And
kids
that-
have something to laugh at too.
Yeah, exactly.
Or look back. I'm sorry. Or look back upon you fondly,
Yeah, right. And
as
say,
we do
"What?"
with our macrame curtains.
Yeah. Did she really think this was good? Come on. Yeah.
She must have at the time. Maybe she didn't because she didn't finish it. So
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I want to bring up how this is kind of like what is in other towns as well, because in our audience, the people in our audience may have something like the art lab in their own community or near them somehow. So I guess I don't know how to phrase the question. I want to find out, like, did you have the idea because you saw it elsewhere? Like, is this, Because this is kind of a newer idea from what I understand. It's kind of like an art incubator, but less along the professional side, I guess. I don't know how to just.
Right, right. No, it wasn't anything really that we saw. Um, it actually came about as people were talking about maker spaces in school, to try and bring back art. And it kind of came out of the whole maker space kind of idea.
Okay.
There is somebody who helped us. I think it's called the Dallas Makerspace. It's a makerspace in Dallas. And they kind of gave us some of their actual paperwork and how they started and how they do it. We also space, which that's near us, just about 100 miles from here. They work a little bit differently, but really along the same lines. Other than that, like when we look things up on the internet, there's not a lot of places. There's starting to be a few more, but those were the only two that we could find on the internet just searching out. A lot of them were maybe connected with a school or a YMCA, and really were more of just an art space for kids mostly. And we wanted something for adults. Kids can come, and we encourage kids. We like kids, but this is really for adults. They don't get a lot of chances to. This kind of goes into a whole new thing, but I don't think adults take enough time in their life to be creative, and they're so busy either with their kids or their spouses, their partners. They're taking care of their family, whatever. They don't take that time out to do that. And yeah, so that's what we really wanted, a place for adults to play.
I love that. And actually, what I've seen there myself is that there are also people that are a little older who are maybe empty nesters, or maybe they live alone now for whatever reason. And it's a great way to get out of the house and do something that is not just sitting and watching TV, or it's an outlet, and it allows
Yes.
it allows people to have their mind engaged in a way that they might not think about at home or bother to do at home. So I see it being super valuable that way too. I believe
Yeah, and I think, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it. I believe it keeps people alive.
Yeah, and I think we kind of found too, once we did it, and we did have COVID in between there. We started in 2019, and then COVID came, so we didn't feel comfortable, moving forward. But we did find, especially now, that it's not even so like you can't draw at home or you can't paint at home, because that's what we were originally setting up. Like, we'll have the kiln and we'll have the pottery wheels and we'll have this stuff, all that you can't have at home. But now we're almost seeing that people see it more as not even social when you're there, but just to create with others, and the energy that's in the place when you are with other people. And so there's quite a few people who come in and just paint and draw. That's something you can do in your living room. You don't need any special equipment, but you come to the art lab, and it's just a place that just is full of creativity and juices and happy stuff. So yeah, we're finding it's a way to have people connect with other people. And I have told Emily this before. I have lived in this town for about 25 to 30 years, and felt pretty connected with the town. I had kids who grew up here, went to high school here. I thought I pretty much knew all of the 4,000 people that live here. And when we opened up the 510 Art Lab, these people were coming in that I had never seen before. And I think artists are just a little bit quieter, or maybe think their stuff is, they don't want to share it. And it's been awesome. Whole new group of people.
I can attest to artists being the quiet people, or being one of those that would be like, oh my gosh, a place where who I am is incredibly welcomed. I live in Charlotte is known to be like a performing arts town. for some things, but it's like you almost have to be at a professional level in order to have your name put out there. And when places like this exist, it gives people an avenue with which to express themselves. So yeah, I can definitely see that being a really big benefit.
Yeah, and there are more and more mental health studies being done, especially since COVID. Um, but even outside of that, all of the let's see, there's a lecturer. His name is Charlie Peacock. He wrote some books, and one of his things was like imaginary play for kids, and like how important that is for kids to have that creativity, and how that affects their anxiety, their feelings of loneliness. And we're finding all kinds of studies on the actual mental health portions of art. And the other thing that I just really, really always want to tell people is, and I know I've said it once already, but your art doesn't necessarily need to be shared if you don't want to. And sometimes it's just to, pick up a piece of clay and see what you can make, and maybe roll it back into a ball when it's all done. But the actual act of creating is so good for your mental health, and it just makes you feel good.
Absolutely. I'm clipping that. If somebody didn't, Sandra might have already, I don't know, but like, I must clip. That was beautiful. Absolutely. I mean, and if you think about, if you ever played with Play-Doh as a kid, that's what you did. You balled it up and you put it back in the container. And that was it. And you cleaned up and you got ready for dinner or whatever. So yeah. We know that. We know that way of creating.
Right.
Giving adults that place to just be open with themselves and kind of have that reconnection. Having now worked in a fairly corporate job, I look at so many people and just see that the spark of creativity is just not there. So giving them that sort of outlet is phenomenal. And I would really recommend to my colleagues that if you haven't gone to a place like this, go now. If you need a doctor's prescription, I'll forge one for you. I'll take it. Just give it to you. But really, I think it's really imperative that you go to a place like this.
And if you can't find a place like this, I mean, maybe there's a way you could, especially with like Facebook and different community groups, you could go out there. Like right now, we're just starting a plein air group.
Oh yeah,
just
that
to
was my
get
next...
outside. Yeah, just to get outside and do some sketching or drawing or painting. And we're telling people, you don't have to be a member, you don't have to be creative. We just want to meet with you and do this together. And so if you don't have a maker space in your area, just do something like that on one of your community neighbors helping neighbors type of Facebook page or something. Who wants to come over and do this? Who wants to come over and paint? Who wants to meet at the park and do some weaving or whatever? You would just be amazed who might show up.
I love that idea. By the way, I saw the post about that and I thought that was so cool.
I would encourage you to do it.
I would like to. I was talking to our friend Julie about joining for that, and I'm going to see if I can get her out there. And now that I've said it on the podcast, Julie, you have to do it. So I hope you're listening. Hope you're listening tonight.
I know. I think it sounds like fun. I don't even paint, so that might be something else. I mean, I do the paint and sip things for the wine aspect of it, and and then you come home with this great thing and you put it on your fireplace and you're like, wow, this paint and sip was so cool. And then 2 days later you're like, what in the world was this? But anyway, I kind of want to do the plein air thing too, and I don't even paint or draw, but I just think it's great to be outside and do art. My two favorite things.
Yeah.
Yes. One thing I do want to to ask about. On your website, under like the frequently asked questions, I was perusing earlier, and someone had asked, "Is someone available to instruct me?" And you say, while you do have a wide variety of mediums and members, the the real big intent of this is seeing what you are capable, and you call it art education in motion. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, sure. That's a huge question we get when people join. Oh, well, I want to, everyone loves pottery. It's like you come in and they're all like, I want to do pottery. Who's here to help me? And we just don't have the staff. We are a nonprofit with one staff person from a grant that we got from Central Minnesota Arts Board. So that's helpful. But yes, almost all of us, like the person who's in charge of our pottery studio right now, who runs the kiln and kind of keeps things clean and moving on, she's a YouTube learner. She decided, I want to do this. And so it's just constant learning all the time. And so we're trying to put up QR codes and things like that, or like I've been putting together little kits for people just to pick up and do. And that is a really tough concept for people. Everyone wants to come in and is like, show me how to do this. And that's one of our goals. Like, no, we want you to dig in and see what you're capable of. And you guys know, with any kind of art, there's a million ways to do it. Sewing, you can, or what's the one quilt? Like, you can quilt it all together, or you can quilt as you go, each square. Like, that's just an example. There's tons of ways to do it, and part of it is to make you feel good and to express yourself. And if we're just showing you how to do that, we're not bringing out the best of you.
That's one thing I noticed about it's a change that's happened fairly recently with the art lab, is when you mentioned the QR codes. And those are, I actually thought that was so cool, because you'll go up to, like, let's say there's a device and you don't know what it is in front of you, and it'll have a little sign by it and it'll say what it is, and there's a QR code about how, and you scan the QR code with your phone camera or QR reader, whatever you have on your phone. Every phone's different, so I don't know. But you scan it and it pulls up a video about how to use that thing. And I thought that was brilliant, because if there are no instructors there, or if I'm new to pottery and I don't know how to use this, rolly thing that I have no clue what this is even called. It's the slab maker thing. And I don't know about this, right? So I can scan this QR code and learn. And no one else has to be there. I can be there at 3 a.m. No one else has to be there, and I can just... That was the other cool thing that I love about that, because a lot of artists, me included, are night owls, and the idea of wanting to maybe sometime, and also that kind of introvertedness, if you want to be alone and you're a night owl, or if you're an early morning person, the art lab is available to members 24/7, and I love that I can go in and create anytime that I'm inspired to do so. But the QR code thing was brilliant, and I could see where that's not for everybody, but it sure was. It's me.
Yeah, it's a hard concept for people. They want you to show them how to do it, and we want to too. And when we all get together, people love to tell you how to, how they're doing their craft or what's new, and we love to share like that too. But to just go in there, we really encourage people to just do it on their own.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about like adult learning theory, but that's another one of the key factors of that is encouraging that sort of intrinsic motivation. You want to go do something, but there's also that, well, I want to be shown how to do it first. And by encouraging people by providing them with a resource in order to go and learn and say, I believe that you can do that. Here's a way that you can do that. and let them sort of discover by making some mistakes, but having that prior knowledge that, you know what, mistakes are fine. I'm going to
Mhm.
overcome that. It's speaking to
Mhm.
what knowledge they already have. Um, so work follows me everywhere, and I love it.
That said, though, there are classes at the art lab, so it's not devoid of instruction.
Right, right. We do some classes. We rely heavily on grants from different art organizations. Um, do some community projects. We just did a, mosaic table where whoever wanted to come in could make like a little 3 by 3 mosaic, and we showed them how to do it. And then we took all those mosaics and put it on top of one of our coffee tables, and it's just a mishmash of everybody's. I wish I had a picture
It's
to
like
show
the
you, but
coolest coffee table on earth. I have
yeah,
seen
yeah,
this. Yeah, I'll have to take a picture next time I'm there or something, and I'm
yeah,
going to be there
yeah.
tomorrow, so
Okay,
I'll get a
yeah.
picture out. But what? Yeah, that coffee table is like I want one. It's
Yeah, it's fun. I know. I want to do it again.
yes, I want to be part of that.
But how many mosaic coffee tables can you have, you know?
I mean,
The limit does not exist.
no,
That's true. That's true.
I would. Yeah, I think a mosaic coffee table in the gazebo, Josh, would be a great idea. Just saying. Yeah, it's amazing because it almost looks like stained glass the way the mosaics are, and there's some of them are so intricate, but there's like one that's a bee and one that's just a pattern, and there's another one that's something else, and they're all so different and amazing to look at. And I've been there when people who are looking at maybe becoming members or just kind of asking questions notice the coffee table and comment on how awesome it is.
Yeah, and I think it's the coffee table really represents a lot of who we are, because there's a couple of kids who gave it a whirl. I mean, I always feel bad like I'm dissing on the kids, and we're really not. We encourage them to come and play too with their adult member.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so you can see a couple of pieces that were done by children, and it goes all the way up to pieces that were done by really artistic, people who caught on, and I love it because I think it really represents everybody
It
who we
does.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, Kaz said, one for each room, one for each mug, one for each plate. You can never have enough mosaic coffee tables.
Yeah.
Oh, and now all I'm picturing is a mosaic leather-studded horse armor.
Oh,
Oh, geez. See, this is why you don't instruct people. You just let them come up with their own stuff, and your mind goes wild.
right. She said, oh, snap. Thank you, Trey.
Welcome.
Now you're in for it. Yeah, that would be so cool. Yeah, I've done some stained glass, and I was thinking about how to incorporate that with horse armor somehow, but I hadn't figured it out yet, so I hadn't brought it up to you, Kaz. But we can talk. We'll talk later.
See, I thought you were going to take that in the direction of you were working on constructing a ball gown made totally out of stained glass,
Oh, there
and
you go.
you could just like have it on wheels and just open it up so the model could like step in, and you slide it back so that they're just standing in a I don't know, stained glass ball gown.
You know what? I'd like to talk about that for a second,
Okay.
if you will. So I did explore that at one point. I explored that at several points.
For
because,
real?
Yes, because I
my
make
gosh.
dresses, and like for a long time, and I still once in a while do, I'll make unconventional designs. So dresses made from unconventional materials, and I love stained glass. I always have. I've done it since I was 24, on and off throughout my life, and which means for 2 years, and
Right.
so I've always loved that look, and my thought was, well, no one's done a stained glass dress before, so I must make one. And after testing some things, I realized the weight really is the problem with that, because structurally it wants to bow and give and move, and there must be a better way to create a structure for it to be on, because the stained glass itself wasn't enough to hold it up in a way that someone could actually wear it, and it was insanely heavy for someone to wear. So fitting wise, it wasn't, and I can fit anything around a human being just about. So like, I've learned this. So that didn't bother me so much as it kind of collapsed upon itself with the weight of itself. So I need like a better inner structure. But there was a stained glass dress that rumored to have been worn by Lady Gaga. It was just extremely short. So it was like a corset made of stained glass with an extremely short skirt. And that was feasible because it wasn't very heavy. It wasn't very, the skirt itself didn't, so to me it had to be a ball gown, but whoever designed the one for Lady Gaga way back when she was first beginning managed to do that, and in a short mini skirt kind of version. And I thought, well, okay, so a stained glass corset I could do, and then maybe a skirt of something else. But then my compromise at the time was I was doing designs out of paper for a long time, and I partnered with Opera Carolina, and they provided brochures for me to make a dress out of paper. So I made a paper stained glass dress. It wasn't really glass, it was paper. It just looks like stained glass.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So a lot of people thought it was real. Like, I guess if you didn't see it in person, maybe, I don't know. But being paper, it was lightweight enough for it to be worn and not collapse. There, that's my...
I just feel like a piece of glass would like hit me in the armpit when I'm, trying to dance or whatever.
It has to be ground down so it's rounded.
Yeah, no dancing in the stained glass ball gown. Yeah.
No shard of glass in the armpit. Yeah, I don't like feeling anything up in my armpit anyway, so I would want to avoid that for someone else. Fitting is important for comfort. Yeah, it has to actually be wearable. But that's my stained glass dress story.
Cool.
And Kaz said stained glass camera harness. Oh, stained glass camera harness.
Oh, okay. That would be cool, but also I feel like it would start cutting in at your neckline, and it would be like too much of the statement of going for the jugular. Well,
let me revise it a little. What if it's like, because I think this is a play on, we've talked before about the harness being leather. What if the leather just had cutouts in the center in various shapes or whatever, and then those cutouts were stained glass? So it was still primarily leather.
Ooh, okay.
So what's digging into your neck then would be leather and not glass.
Cause you and I both now have all the ideas.
Yeah, Tray Vision. She wants to call it Tray Vision. I think that's good.
I like it.
It's like WandaVision, but... Well, he is Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, no. I am both now. Dang it. So, Gwen, honestly, I just have to say that you have just this very welcoming sort of personality to things, and I think it speaks volumes of the people that you do attract into the art lab. Have you ever had anyone that was nervous about going into the art lab and maybe need some encouragement? And how did you convince them to come to the art lab?
Yeah, we've had lots of people nervous to come, and I would say a couple of times I've just said, you know what, let's just meet up tomorrow night, and I'll just come with you, and we'll just do our thing, and that's kind of fun. They can just come in, I can show them around, and then we can sit down, and once people actually start a project, they kind of forget all the stuff that they were nervous about. And I think that's the best way to do it. Just jump in there with them and say, let's just let's just do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So, and I think the other thing is people are, the other thing is they're maybe not so nervous to come in, but once they're there, they're nervous to start creating. Because what if somebody sees this? What if somebody sees my, my sewing pattern or whatever? And so I've tried to make a conscious effort for myself to hang up some things that really are not great. A couple of weaving tapestries that I've done to put up, and they do this. They call it like an 8 because your weaving's supposed to be straight, but this one kind of goes in
Yeah.
and back out. And so I purposely hang it up, and I even show people when they come in, like, oh, hey, this is my first tapestry, and I just hung it up here for you guys to see maybe what not to do or what happens when you make a mistake, and it's not the end of the world. Have your mom hang it on the fridge. It's all going to be good. So
I love that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact. Dive in. That's how people get good.
right,
It's just
right, and there's a time and a place for that, definitely. And
Sure.
there's people who want to be professional artists and who want to sell their work, and they have one thing that's their passion, and they want to just do it. And there's definitely a time and place for that as well.
yeah. Yeah, I like that that is an atmosphere at the art lab that I felt, which is there's no wrong way to do it. There's no criticism or judgment there. Everybody's just there
Yeah.
to do.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
I was thinking about there might be some people in our audience that would be interested in maybe creating their own art lab type, makerspace type thing in their own community.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if you have anything you would say to someone like that who is just kind of, this might inspire them. This might be something they've already thought about. Potentially, this could be an idea in their community that would work. What would you say to somebody like that?
Sure. First of all, I think if you're thinking about it, do it. It's just so awesome. I mean, just the other day, I was kind of like, I just felt overwhelmed by the lab. And, we were doing this big chalk fest and doing a kids class on chalk art. And of course, it started to rain, and, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And parents are dropping their kids off at the wrong spot, and I got kids all over town, and I was overwhelmed, and I'm thinking, isn't there anybody else here who can help me do this? And when the class was over, I ran down to the park to look at the chalk art, and it was just amazing what these 10-year-old kids were doing, and it just like energized me again. So definitely it's a great idea, and I would encourage you to do it. I think one of the most important parts of doing it, and as you guys know, as Emily, as doing being a professional artist and selling your works, we all know that art doesn't sell for what it's really worth, and it's really hard to make a go at it sometimes. And it's the same thing with the art lab. As far as so, what I would suggest is that you start a nonprofit, because as a 501c3, there's tons of art grants out there for you. Almost every state. Minnesota has the Legacy Fund, in which they call it, the Minnesota State Arts Board, and then those are also divided up into different councils. So in Minnesota, there's quite a few different ways. And if you're not a 501c3, there aren't a lot of grants for you. And although we feel really fortunate, we have over 50 members. Our goal was 40, and we figured if we could get 40 people at their membership fee of $300, we would be able to pay our bills. But to really thrive, you need more money than that. And we are targeting the artists who aren't professional. So, like, how much money do you want to pay for your hobby? So as a business model, as a for-profit business model, I don't, I think you'd have to do it differently than the way we're doing it. So my number one thing would be go for it. And my number two thing would be apply for a nonprofit or a 501c3 status first. And when you do that, you can also, if somebody just won the lottery and they love art and they're like, this 510 Art Lab is so great, and I want to give you $1 million from my lottery winnings, they can do that through our 501c3, and you get all the tax advantages with that as well. So that has really been our best asset. There's another group close to us who's done something similar. They're more like a gallery, but they're also a for-profit business, and they ended up putting a cafe inside of their gallery so that there was a way for them to make money. So
Cool.
that would be my number one suggestion.
As Josh said, please sponsor us, we love you, at themodrom.com is an email we have set up for sponsorships. If you are having a hard time contacting the Art Lab directly, you can contact us and we'll put you in touch with Gwen. If you just email us at please sponsor us, we love you, at themodrom.com. Otherwise, go to 510, it's 510artlab.com. And you can get in touch.
Cheesy plug, but no, for real, that's,
it's not cheesy.
when it starts doing, when it comes down to stuff like the Art Lab, you really need financial support to keep it going.
For sure. Yeah.
Unless you want to invite all the crazy artists into your basement every Tuesday night. I mean, that's fun too, but
that is fun.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I had a thought and then it just left me.
I'm sorry.
It happens. Gwen, for you, what are some things that inspire you, like as you're starting to create and getting into something new? What do you think about? What inspires you?
What really keeps me going is it's a downfall as well, but I might see, like, for example, the macrame leaves we were talking about, and someone made a leaf and hung it on their wall. And what inspires me is, what else can I do with that? And I don't want to just make the leaf that everybody else makes. And I think it's a deep down thing from my mom. She used to always say, do you want to be like everybody else? Do something original. Do you want to be like? And when I was 16, I said, yes, I really would love to be like everybody else. That's what you want to do. But that is what inspires me, is like what other people do, but then what can I do to put my own spin on it?
Yeah, make it yours.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which isn't always easy to do, because I'm not, like Trey, you said you're making your own patterns now with sewing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patterns. I'm not very good at coming up with the ideas. I'm really good at looking at Pinterest and YouTube and seeing what's out there and then just going at it. And that's just how my brain works.
And that's fine. Like, that's how a lot of brains work, and I think that's what makes this great, that you're doing things like artistic things anyway. Mm-hmm. And that you made the Art Lab happen anyway. I mean, that is the awesomest thing. And I really wanted our audience to hear your story for that reason, because
thank you.
I want everybody to feel like they can do it. And because of you did it, you're doing it.
Oh, well, thank you. Lots of people helping, lots of friends helping, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's actually it's a bigger place than a lot of people, I think, maybe realize. That it's not just a little room with a couple of pottery wheels in it and a sewing machine. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was an old bar, and we just started. None of us knew any. I ended up going to the emergency room when we were remodeling the bar because we were just doing it all like, on our own. We didn't have any backing. We were waiting for the 501c3 to come through and waiting to try and get some, grants and some donations, but we were all too excited to just sit back and do it. So we just started jumping in there and knocking down walls and taking out flooring and taking this old smelly bar, and not an old smelly bar. It was a very fun bar in its time, but it had been closed for a while. And so it was great. And many times a bunch of us are still the same. There was 5 or 6 of us that kind of started, and we still have 4 of the original people on our board of the 6. And sometimes we just sit back and say, this is like the biggest project we've ever done, like with our own 2 hands. And that feels good.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another way that people can participate in the art lab without maybe even being at the art lab. And that is you have those paintbrushes. Do you know? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, another shameless plug.
No,
I feel bad.
No, it's not shameless. Well, yeah. I guess it's shameless. I mean, no, I really believe, like you said, you're a nonprofit.
Right.
So perpetuating this matters to people, and I want you to be able to benefit from that. And I want, also for anybody who's starting their own art lab type thing, this is an idea, and they could run with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, we have what we call our paintbrush donors or paintbrush club.
Okay.
And we have different sizes of paintbrushes and different colors. And we've had several people who from all over the country who either used to live in the town, or maybe they have a cabin in this town, or they visited their grandparents here. And so being a member is just not a viable option for them. And so they can donate money, and we put a paintbrush with their name or with whatever they want to say on it, a saying or usually they put their name, and then we hang them up. And it's, and then people come back like, oh geez, maybe they came back to visit their grandma and they look for their paintbrush and look for their name. And then we also like to every year invite all of those people to the art lab and usually do a little once a year kind of donor appreciation. So it's fun.
Cool. And then there's also something else that I wanted to bring up that is for members, and that is there's a Member Monday thing that you do.
Yes.
Which is actually really cool. And the hard part for me is that we also record our podcast on Mondays.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, that's a bummer.
I have not yet made a Member Monday, but I would like to.
Yeah, and that's another, we have a Member Monday once a month, second Monday of the month, and we either do a class, a free class, or invite an author in and tell us about their, their writing process, or we might do just a painting night. Or I've been wanting to get Emily to come in and talk to people about people who do want to start selling their art, how to go about retailing that, pricing that, setting up marketing strategies for that. And sometimes it's just Christmas, we just shared Christmas cookies and played games, the art of game playing. But basically, it's a way for people to get to know each other, to come in when there's other people there, and then to offer some type of free class or instruction.
And it sounds
amazing. And
amazing.
it's proved pretty valuable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing, and I have looked back at some of the ones that I've missed and gone, I wish I could have made that one.
Yeah.
One day we'll change the day we do the podcast or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we can't change Member Monday because of the alliteration.
Right, I know.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah, we're
not the
kind
same.
of stuck on that. Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing you mentioned was that you've put together kits, and that was something I wanted to ask details about. For instance, like you had the recent one was the loom kits, but can you talk about that a little bit? Let us.
Yeah. We've just tried to put together. I have some kits that you could take home, and one is like a lap loom, and instructions, some QR codes, and then everything you'd need to bring that lap loom either home or to use it at the lab, and to use it to make small tapestries or placemats or something like that, and just put together that kit. We've also done a couple of macrame kits, everything that you need inside to take home. And sometimes the way we structure our, the words are not coming to me right now.
That's okay.
Supplies.
Yeah.
The supplies there. When you're a member, you come in and we have supplies. We've gotten grants to have supplies. So if you come in and you want to try stained glass or macrame or weaving, we have like everything you would need to weave a rug. But once you start and you're really like, oh, I'm going to do this denim rug with this red stripe in it, and I'm going to make one for everybody in my family for Christmas, then we ask you bring your own supplies. Some people just show up one day and are like, oh, what can I do here? I'm not really sure what my project is. So we'll put together a kit and a suggested donation so that, as a way for us to recoup some costs, or people might feel bad, like, oh, this is the third stained glass project I've done. How much would it cost, for these supplies? And especially we're like 100 miles from Minneapolis, 50 miles from, a town that has a larger craft or like Hobby Lobby type place. And so sometimes too, we're the only place they're going to find stained glass or fused glass or something. So we want to make it available for them to purchase and to pick out their own colors and things. So that's kind of what the kits are for as well, to kind of spur on some sparks of creativity, and or maybe give them a easy way to try something that they haven't tried before.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Awesome. For you, I'm gonna ask: is there a time that you look back on and you go, "Yes, this is why I do what I do"?
Yeah. And it usually, like I said, is after a class or going to the chalk, see all the kids and all their chalk art, or after I've been there a night. And that's how I met Emily. She was new to town, and I was like, hey, you're an artist, come to the 510 art lab, and those are the times then when you can sit at the lab and create something. Or sometimes I just go there at night, not really expecting anything, and a member shows up that I've not met before, and we just sit there, and I might create my thing and they create their thing, and then I leave, and it just feels like, I don't know, like that's what your life is for, not creating things, but connecting with people. And I know we've talked about how artists a lot of times are introverts, and I'm an introvert. This whole like getting on a podcast thing was over the edge for me. Emily and Sandra, they're like, oh, do you have a headshot? I'm like, okay, I'm the outlier here. I have no professional headshots. I have I barely have earbuds. So anyway, we're like introverts, but still at the bottom, the bottom level of life is connecting with other people. And that's when I say, yeah, this is cool, And I'll tell you another story. We also, this was part of the art lab, but another art group, they did it at the art lab. We have these benches in our town that look like books. And we commissioned artists to, and it was a juried thing where they would come and and show us. And we wanted them to be like a Minnesota author and to then make this bench look like that author's books. And anyway, the other day I was sitting at a stoplight and this family was walking across the crosswalk all together on their nightly walk. And one little boy strayed across from his family and looked at the bench and was reading it and sat down on it. And his mom was waiting. And it's really like one of those beautiful pictures you imagine the Gilmore Girls, you know, like just enjoying their night out and enjoying the art that we had there. And that was an aha moment for me. I was like, okay, I love this. You know, I love that we're beautifying this town and that people are taking advantage of it, and that a young kid wanted to stop and look at that beautiful piece of art.
That is so cool. And that might be like the one thing that sticks with him, you know? The one thing that influences him into maybe painting too or storytelling too somehow. I love it.
Yeah.
And the benches really are cool. They're all over town and they are really neat.
Yeah.
And I always am like afraid to actually sit on one. I didn't know if I should, so I never did.
Oh, no. You can sit on them. They're kind of rounded because they look like an open book. So after a while, it's not really all that comfortable.
Right.
But you definitely can sit on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. So, Emily, it makes me incredibly jealous, all the the cool things that you're able to talk about in your city. It almost makes me want to move there.
Come on, do it.
Not right now, but...
Come on,
but,
do it.
No, not right now.
You could come visit. You should at least come visit, and then you can meet Gwen in person, and we'll all hang out down at the lake.
And then we'll dive in and make an art project together.
Yeah, we'll do art outside together.
It would be fun. Plein air.
Plein air, yes.
That would be so cool. All right, Seth, we're going to Minnesota at some point. We are scheduling this vacation at some point, so you have no choice in that.
Yeah, we're clipping that. Also, I lost what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, just brush up a little bit on your ya-a and don't ya knows, and you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a book you can read, right? How to Talk Minnesotan.
I actually gave that to him already.
Oh, see, you're halfway here.
Like years ago, I gave him this book. I love that book.
It's sitting on my bookshelf. It is sitting on my bookshelf right now.
Yeah, it's called How to Talk Minnesotan, if anybody out there wants it. You can find it on Amazon, I'm sure. Or, you know what? No, you should go to your local independent bookstore. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go to your local Minnesotan and ask them for the book.
Because all of them have it on their shelf.
They should.
Yes. There's another book that y'all need called Hot Dish to Die For. And if you don't know what hot dish is, it is casserole, but they call it something. They call it hot dish up here. It's the same thing. Brilliant book. Hot Dish to Die For.
There's also a card game we call Hot Dish. So we got it covered.
Oh, I don't think I know about that one.
Oh, well, that's probably because, you're new here.
I mean, kind of, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, it's a card game we call Hot Dish. It's fun.
Okay. Kaz said, I was thinking when you said jump in the water and then make art, and I was like, ooh, underwater art activities.
Oh.
Hey.
Whoops.
Maybe not paint specifically, but
Yeah.
Maybe underwater photography.
Underwater photography. Underwater basket weaving.
Underwater macrame.
Right. Yeah. Josh said the same thing. Underwater basket weaving. So, and Seth said, I look forward to developing an accent. Excellent. Get on it.
Doctor, you betcha.
Yeah.
Don't forget to catch a lutefisk and make a nice casserole hot dish out of it.
Hot dish.
That's wonderful.
Oh
We
my
promise
gosh.
we won't make you eat lutefisk.
No, people
I'm
don't really eat that, I swear.
No, you can't even really
really
find it.
No.
It's not really as
honestly,
common as they make you think,
Yeah.
right?
No.
I'm a little disappointed because I actually kind of wanted to try some.
Well, we could
No.
would
We
Schaefer's
could
have such a
find
thing?
some.
We could,
I
yeah, we'll
don't
find some
know.
for you.
We could find some. If you come, we'll find you lutefisk.
Beautiful. Uh,
Underwater lutefisk.
Underwater lutefisk. Yeah, you have to catch it yourself.
oh.
Josh said
Oh.
he has sources. We'll find it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kaz said that's called fresh fish. That's a little different.
Oh, goodness. Um, Gwen, one thing I want to make sure that our listeners are able to do is make sure to not only connect with the Art Lab, but also connect with you. What are the best places that they can find more information about 510 Art Lab or get in touch with you?
Yeah, we have the 510artlab.com is our website that has everything about that. And then we also have an email that I monitor, and that's 510artlab@gmail.com.
Okay. And they're on Instagram and Facebook as well. So Instagram
Yeah.
is
Yep.
at 510 Art Lab, and Facebook you can just type in 510 Art Lab. You'll find it.
Yep.
So cool. Well, Gwen, I love that you've been on with us tonight, and I want to ask one last thing of you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
What advice do you have for anyone that's wanting to get out there and make art, or to start up their own art lab, um, or just kind of nervous about kind of taking that next step? What
hmm
advice for them do you have?
I I think that one of the best quotes that I've ever seen as far as art goes says something like, to live a creative life, you need to lose your fear of being wrong. And I think that's as far as being creative, diving into something like starting a makerspace, any of that. We always and I'm a huge person I'm a perfectionist. I hate to make mistakes. I hate to be wrong. I hate to not have everything be exactly right. And I've learned that along the way also, and I've kept that quote in the back of my mind. Like, making art is, first of all, not the end of the world. But, if you do it wrong, so you take out a seam and you start again, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I think that for people who feel like they're not creative, I think they're not creative because they're not letting go of that fear to be wrong, or just to go out there and see where it leads you. The fear of the unknown. And I think that would be my advice for anyone trying to be creative, start something new, or, start something like the Art Lab.
I love that answer. That's beautiful.
Right on.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, Gwen, I really have to say thank you so much for being on tonight. And from a fellow introvert, you did an amazing job today. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being on.
Thank you. Sure.
Uh,
And thank you guys for having me. It was fun. It was fun. It widened my world. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you had a good time. We did too.
yeah,
I learned new things as well. So this was wonderful, and I hope our audience did too. And if you have any questions for Gwen, you can go to 510artlab.com and get in contact. You're going to be swamped with questions now.
I hope so.
and you can email them all to 510artlab@gmail.com.
Right.
As we close out tonight's episode, this episode, along with probably every other episode, is in memory of Joe Capone, our moderator, fellow comedian, passionate encourager, and greatly missed friend. You can find us pretty much wherever you tune into podcasts. For updates, announcements, and more, please follow us on social media under Modern Romantic. So thank you, everybody, and have a macrame day.
Macrame day.
I like it.
I hope
Good
your
night.
day is full of art. Real quick before we go, Kaz redeemed 2 toasts to Caponis
Oh
in a row,
yes.
and I'm out of. I had ruby red squirt in my.
Okay.
But
I have
I'll
2.
drink whatever
Okay.
drips I have left. Yay. Toast to Caponis. I didn't want to stop before we did that, so thank you, Kaz. Oh, it's 2, so I guess I have to try to get another drip out of this thing. There we go. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.